I'm Tyrone Bowman. This is Tyrone Bowman Tonight. This is part 3 of the Brittney Griner saga. In this part, I'll be talking about Brittney Griner's cannabis use, how it is normal in America, but Russia's drug laws are draconian. So let's get right down to it. For as much as cannabis use in its various forms is accepted commercially and therapeutically, in many parts of the United States, the rest of the world has yet to adopt similar laws and views. Many countries will imprison a person for possessing THC products that are legal. In the United States, Russian legal experts Jameson Firestone said, Russian drug laws are draconian, Firestone told USA Today Sports, but so are Saudi, Singapore, and Chinese laws. This is what led to Brittney Griner's arrest on February 17 in Russia. The two-time gold medalist faces 10 years in jail on drug charges after border officials said they found narcotics. While Griner passed through Sheremetyevo Airport during Griner's trial, which could end as early as this week, which is already over, I'm giving you a timeline, prosecutors argued she has approximately 0.7 grams of cannabis in vape cartridges. Griner pleaded guilty without intent and said she accidentally placed the cannabis in her luggage while packing quickly. The State Department classified Griner as wrongfully detained. It is really important to understand the state laws when you cross borders, when you are on an airplane, and obviously when you switch countries. The clinical professor at Florida International University told USA Today Sports, players, management, and representation need to stress awareness of what an athlete may be carrying when traveling to a place that is not marijuana friendly, Firestone said. Flying domestically with marijuana is also prohibited. Check every pocket and bag while packing, he said. It should be like a travel checklist to make 100% sure you don't have this stuff and while traveling, with the stern warning of the consequences if you do. Because it's not a slap on the wrist. It could destroy your life, even if the amount is less than what could fill a standard 1 gram vape canister. Certainly, nothing you could argue was used for trafficking. It would be very reasonable to say it's a personal amount and really only a personal amount for a small period of time, said Josiah Hess, the author of a book about the combined effects of cannabis and exercise called Runner's High. This is getting pretty interesting while I'm reading. From Ricky Williams to Matt Barnes to Jonathan Papillon, ex-pros have been forthcoming about their use of marijuana. Cannabis, what I hear from so many athletes, is that it takes away from all the ancillary things, all the data, all the chatter, all the sponsors, Hess told USA Today Sports. Anxiety reduction is one reason an athlete or anyone may use marijuana. Another is chronic pain, the reason Griner had a physician's recommendation for marijuana, her lawyers argued in Russian court. But specifically for athletes, Hess said, it can settle the mind for those who are always on. It puts them back in the moment and reminds them why they got into basketball or running or tennis in the first place, Hess said. Some pros may have 9 figures income, but they are still human, former NBA athlete Al Harrington said. Life is hard, man, especially over the last couple of years, said Harrington, who is now the CEO and founder of Viola Brands, a cannabis company. Athletes want a way to cope with things. I feel like cannabis allows that. Conan said studies that survey athletes typically reveal a 30% usage rate. That figure is likely underreported. Cannabis can be reported by a doctor for treatment, although the government still considers it a Schedule I drug. Other Schedule I drugs include ecstasy, heroin, lysergic acid. I don't know all these medical terms. Diethylamine, LSD, cocaine, fentanyl, and Brittney are among Schedule II drugs high potential for abuse with potential to lead to severe psychological or physical dependence. Dr. Kenneth R. Weinberg, Chief Medical Officer of Cannabis Doctors of New York, who was an emergency room doctor for 35 years and has been working with patients in the marijuana field since 2016, disagrees with the government's assessment of what a Schedule I narcotic is. Weinberg said marijuana is a vastly superior alternative for pain management than opioids, and points to the fact that some drugs, including cocaine, also have medical benefits as it has been used to treat nosebleeds and is a local anesthetic. Any substance that somebody can take that they have some psychoactive effect from is potentially addictive, but cannabis is among the lowest of them, Weinberg said. As a physician, I have to be objective. This is a great substance. It's been around for 5,000 years. It doesn't make sense to make it on the level as other substances on the list. 31 states and Washington, D.C. have decriminalized the possession of varying small amounts of marijuana. In Arizona, where Griner plays for the Phoenix Mercury, citizens can possess an ounce of marijuana, 5 grams of marijuana plant resin is legal for wax or oil for vape pens, and the drug can't be publicly consumed. The 4 major sportsmen professional leagues in North America each approach marijuana use differently. In the NFL, players are no longer suspended for using marijuana, but can be fined, with the testing window being reduced significantly. The NBA also prohibits marijuana use and has also condensed its testing protocol. Major League Baseball, or MLB, views the drug the same as alcohol after recovering it from its banned substance list in 2019. The NHL also screens for the drug, but if a player has high levels of tetrahydrocannabinol, or THC, one of the main components in marijuana, the league recommends the player for treatment. The WNBA has its own rules governed by language in the league's collective bargaining agreement. The WNBA does not classify marijuana as a drug of abuse like the federal government does, but it is listed under one of 3 categories for prohibited substances. The WNBA has worked extensively with the U.S. government to bring Griner home safely. It declined comment on Griner's lawyers, stating in Russia court that Griner had received medical clearance in the U.S. to use marijuana or the legal drugs policy. The medical community is hesitant to embrace marijuana use because of the absence of quality research allowed on humans. All evidence of benefits is anecdotal. The effects on the lungs, heart, and brain of smoking or vaping, for example, 2 decades from the time of use, are still unknown, Conan said. We just need a lot of science to catch up to essentially verify what the athletes who are using marijuana are telling us, and if there are any short and long-term concerns, Conan said. The World Anti-Doping Agency bans cannabis. The view has little to do with science, as said, although its capabilities as a performance enhancer aren't fully understood. Well, we're going to leave it right there. Brittney Griner sentenced to 9 years in a Russian prison. Let's hope and pray that negotiations between Russia and the United States will end peaceably and amicably and find a way to bring Brittney Griner and others home. I'm Tyrone Bowman. Never surrender, never quit.